Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics. Sam, good morning, mate. How are you doing?
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm all the better for seeing you, mate. There we go.
Sweet of you. It feels like it's been forever, but it hasn't. I think it's just we've been so busy that we haven't had as many chances to catch up and mate, I have missed your beautiful face.
Go on. What's the catch? What's the catch?
But don't worry, my aim is getting better.
Oh, you can tell we're coming up to Panto season, can't you? Eh?
Oh no, we're not. No, we're not going.
Yeah. Tell you what, though, before we go any further, here's to you, mate.
Oh, and here's to you, buddy. Cheers. Cheers,
everyone.
Cheers.
There we are.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, that is good. That is good. Lovely stuff. So come on, then. We've both been running around. What has your week held for you, then?
So do you know, it's been an interesting one, and I've actually had a couple of these, which I've sort of mentioned before. It's been a week of everything and nothing, which sounds very sort of mystical, but essentially, I've had a quite a heavy admin week, sorting lots of things for future productions, future jobs, keeping up to date, picking up on things that perhaps I haven't been able to through being busy with other stuff. But do you know, overall, it's just made me realise how lucky I am to be back working quite so much and to have so much in the pipeline and so much to look forward to, and also how relieved and happy I feel that things are returning to something that feels a bit more familiar. And I'm sure you feel exactly the same. We did have a horrible period of very limited opportunities or situations that we could actually do anything in. What a great feeling to be back.
Good.
As much as I'm knackered and doing so much, it's just great. I'm in love with my job and happy to be back at it full throttle. So
no, I know exactly what you mean. It is. You know, there was that period of uncertainty, which thankfully is getting more and more in the distant past. But it's nice to have stuff to get to think about and get one's teeth into. I mean, it was a scary time, and now we can not relax. I don't think you can never relax doing what we do. As everyone, people listening and anybody who's in the business knows, you can never relax. That wonderful phrase, and I'm sure I've said it in the past, but that wonderful phrase, resting. Well, when I'm looking for work, that's the most busy time, and like you say, you're looking for stuff, you're prepping for stuff. Resting. Well, whoever came up with that phrase, was a lunatic. Yeah.
But so go on then. You haven't been resting. Certainly haven't been resting, and I know your week has had quite an orange tinge to it, hasn't
it? Yeah. I mean, if people don't know it, that Brian and I have our pumpkin Halloween event in a week's time. So we have been doing the production work and side of that. And it really brings home to me, if producers, how many balls they have to juggle and how many things they have to hold in their hands, to bring something together, because we are, and I'm aware that probably sounded wrong before you even say anything.
No, I let that one go, mate. It's fine.
You did. But I mean, it's just like, you do one thing, you think, well, that can't happen until that happens, and I need to know that. We for the event, for the pumpkin carving event, we order in our own pumpkins because some people have these events on farms and they have their fields of pumpkins, no problem. So we have to sell the tickets and then calculate how many pumpkins we needed. Now, last year we ran around like lunatics gathering them ourselves from various supermarkets, and cannot tell you how A, tiring, and B, stressful that was.
So
but this year
anyone in your local area last Halloween that had attempted to go to a supermarket and get a pumpkin, you were the reason that their children might have been crying, basically.
Might have been, but they could have bought a ticket.
Oh, I see. That's the solution. We got Jeff
corner the market. Well, interestingly, last year we did the event, and we were working within, you know, the COVID protocols. Pounding the swear box for the word, but we were working with certain protocols. This year we don't, but we're still, you know, we're still working within buying the tickets and booking. But we had no competition this year. Now this last year, right, we had no competition. This year we have competition because, you know, restrictions have loosened. So we need to count. Excuse me. We need to count the pumpkins, order the pumpkins, keep an eye on the ticket sales, prepare. Getting some people in to help us, getting up the decorations, and then getting the pumpkins from the front of the building to where we're holding the event. So it's been, juggling pumpkins,
which is quite a feat if you can achieve.
It is quite a feat. Yeah.
But go on, while you've got the air, then mate, go on, give it a quick promote.
I'll promote the pumpkins. We are doing the event is at the Old Watermill, which is in Barton, just outside Luton. And for their ticket, people book. You come, you carve your pumpkin. You get half an hour to carve your pumpkin. Choose your pumpkin, carve it. All the equipment is there. We're under gazebo, so if it's raining or a little bit inclement, you'll be nice and dry. Then you can go off on the Wacky Wizards Trail, which is you follow the clues. To find different things that are hidden around. It's a children's play area, but it's like a little woodland foresty glade. So you wander around there, you answer the clues to give an answer to a puzzle that we set. And then off you go home. So it's about an hour's experience, and there will be various scarecrows and wizards in attendance to help you on your way.
Amazing.
I might be the Watermill Wizard. Who knows? Yeah.
Who knows? What dates does it run? Just so
it's the 29th and the 30th. Yeah.
So if you happen to be out Luton Way with small people or not small people, I guess. And fancy a bit of pumpkin carving and a bit of wizard hunting. Please do get involved.
But... all day, 10 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, approximately. Go online, the Old Watermill, book some tickets. We'd love to see you. There you go.
And that's your one promotion for the season done, mate. No more.
That's it.
You've had yours.
No more.
So aside from pumpkins, what's your week been like?
Well, a more should we say traditional or a more usual side to what I do. I had a recall for a tour of a play that you love, the Full Monty. That's one of your favourite shows and productions. Mine is Little Voice, and I was very, very, very very, very pleased to get an audition and a recall for Little Voice. The outcome of which is sort of hanging in the balance. Well, I'll let you know more about that. Fingers crossed. But yeah, it's the great thing about it was, I mean, I love the play. I mean, if nobody knows it, it's been it was I saw it first in the West End with Alison Steadman and Jane Horrocks. And Little Voice is she's beaten down by a domineering mother. She's lost her father, and she retreats into a world of her own, where she listens to classic records, singers like Judy Garland and Shirley Bassey and people like that, and she imitates them. She learns to sing like them and imitate them. And the story is that she gets discovered by a dodgy promoter. He wants to because she would make a wonderful act. And around this kind of Cinderella fairy story, their world collapses at the end of the play. Literally collapses. But she's rescued by, or she's recognized as the soul she is by another shy, introverted character, Billy. And at the end of the play, I do see it as a modern fairy tale, because he does rescue her in his he's a telephone engineer, and he rescues her from her window with a cherry picker and takes her off, and she becomes herself. It's a beautiful, beautiful play. There are it's quite grotesque and quite tough play, but I think I like about it is because it's there are characters within it that are very withdrawn, and they are not accepted by society, and it's how people are judged by society, and how we just say, oh, that person's quiet, therefore they're shy, therefore we won't have much to do with them, shove them in a corner. But it is a kind of fairy tale because people blossom and they show the beauty that is within them. But also this production was very interesting because, I mean, the show is the two main characters are two women, so it's a female driven play. Also there's the production team behind it, the director is a woman, the cast director, the producers. So it was like, okay, this is a play about women being produced by women with wonderful male characters in it. Yeah. And I was really kind of like, yeah, I could really get behind this. This is something, I'd love to do the part, but also really interesting production, fantastic production.
We are very lucky to be in a world now where equality, equal opportunity, and variety are very much pushed and supported. I mean, you've got the obvious things like colourblind casting is very much something that is supported. Equal opportunities for disabled people, or differently abled, I should say. And I think certainly in writing as well. So obviously Little Voice isn't a new piece, but this is a new, not interpretation of it, but a new production of it. But there are recent productions which I think are opening up and giving opportunities and making theatre a lot more rounded. And I think theatre is an incredibly powerful tool to educate and to promote awareness. And I think that there are numerous things we could name. So, for example, the new production of Cinderella, Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cinderella, is, as much as it follows the traditional fairy tale story, it's very much about, yes, you can change, but you shouldn't have to. And I won't sort of spoil or whatever. I haven't seen it, but I've read about it, and I think that the theme is perhaps that you don't have to be anyone but yourself, or you don't have to change, or that yes, you can do certain things to gain people's attention, but why should you? Or there is no reason for it, or no justification for it. And again, very powerful lead role being female, and we've got lots of that, which is a great thing to see. You've got Anne Juliet, which touches on all sorts of social issues and things that perhaps don't get the airtime that they have previously, and are starting to kind of come out into mainstream media. Six is another big, and I know I'm going the musical route. That's my jam. But Six is a musical about 6 women who historically have been remembered because of one man. And this musical almost exists to go, but we are people. We exist for ourselves, not just because of one famous person. Incredible musical. I've seen it twice and reviewed it, and it's brilliant. So I think we are very much in a world where theatre, being the incredibly powerful tool that it is now able to go, open your eyes, have a look, see what else is going on around, give equal opportunities, allow other things that are common in real life, but just maybe not what people consider the norm. They need to be out there, and I think theatre is doing that in a very strong way.
I think it's doing it in 2 ways, because not only, as you say, it's producing great plays and productions that are making people, look at that issue, but also slowly but surely theatre in its, as you say, colorblind casting and mixed gender casting and gender fluid casting, I meant to say, is it's addressing its own, it's slowly putting its own house in order, not as quickly as we would all would like it to do, and not always as smoothly, but we are addressing it. I mean, it's always been a very inclusive and welcoming profession. Well, I suppose years and years ago, it did include the dregs of society, and or they were considered the dregs. But now it, probably some of our most recognized figures in the world are actors, and we have, a great power to represent different people. And I think we are slowly, beginning to change our own house and put our own house in order. And that can only be good. That can only be good,
Well, yeah, and I think the support of the general public with regards to issues about the financial support for the arts, I think has been incredible, and we've seen a lot of that. I think, not to dwell on the past, but we talked about how during lockdowns, without streaming sites and without TV and on demand, what would people have done? And so, not to disinclude radio and books and things, but the arts, I think people are realizing more and more just how important the arts are, and the general public are supporting. And you hear all this stuff about going on in the government, and we need more money for this and blah blah blah. But people are suddenly realizing just how integral it is. And
I think so. Yeah.
Behind it.
Yeah.
Not above and beyond other things necessarily, but certainly we should have an equal voice, in the same way that all genders and all racial backgrounds and whatever should have the same voice. And I mean, it's a tough subject, because there are certain ways. I mean, you and I have talked quite at length about things like James Bond becoming a female character potentially, and other things along those lines. And there will always be people who have a very outspoken opinion on it, and doesn't necessarily mean your opinion is wrong. Everyone is entitled to an opinion, as long as it's not justifiably, as long as it is justified without some sort of negativity towards others, I think. And that's quite a roundabout way of looking at it, but
yeah,
you know where I'm coming from.
I do.
And actually, I mean, do you know what? I think it's probably an interesting thing to bring up then. So James Bond for me is a man, because James Bond was written as a man in the books. It's not that I don't believe there could be a female spy who plays a similar role, but I just think surely, and I can't speak on behalf of female performers, but I would hope or that my thoughts run on a similar line, that surely you would want to be established in your own character, rather than almost having a cast off, or kind of going, well, this has been written for a bloke, but we've kind of done everything we can with it, so you can have it, women. That to me seems like almost insulting. Like,
I think so. It's and the other thing is, like saying it was written as James Bond. It's a male character. There is no reason why that character couldn't be played by a woman. However, there are things that you would have to make compromises, both towards the character and the female actor playing. Do you call it James Bond, or do you call it Jane Bond? In which case, you are compromising. For me, don't compromise. Keep the character as James Bond, being played by a man. Right, create an equally strong and modern franchise that is played up and headed by a female actor, a woman. It could be Jane Bond. It shouldn't be, because that then is a it becomes a pastiche. I don't see why we shouldn't be asking the question, could James Bond be played by a woman? We should be asking, why isn't there an equally strong franchise? Why isn't there a female character, equally strong, equally recognized, that people are going, oh, could that be played by a man? Do you know what I mean? That's what we're lacking. And it's not that I have no problems with Hamlet being played by a woman. Fine. But there are things within that you go, it doesn't sit right. We're having to ask questions. Why aren't we writing the roles for women? Why aren't there? There are amazing writers, directors, producers. I've met 2 or 3 of them doing my recall that were fabulous. That it's there. And there is now, as you say, there is now a demand and a recognition that theatre exists and it's powerful, and we need to reflect. Theatre needs to reflect the world around us. James Bond doesn't. It's pure escapism. There's everything there, but there are plays out there. There are Little Voice is a case in point. It reflects a certain strata, a certain area, and people's attitudes. It has something to say. Those parts don't need to be played by men. They should be played by women. The male roles in it should be played by men. But it should be produced by women. It should be directed by women. I just think we're, by crowbarring, and I don't mean that insultingly, crowbarring any performer into, whatever gender they are, whatever color they are, whatever background or whatever, to crowbar them into a role that wasn't originally written for that specific casting slot, you're actually doing a disservice. What we should be doing is writing for these people, is saying there should be more black, ethnic, female, whatever, differently abled actors. Yeah. They exist in the world. They should be reflected in the television that goes out, the films that are made, the theatre. And that's what we need to address. I don't have any problems with this, and I touched on it in the past. I don't have any problems with a black actress playing Anne Boleyn. She was a perfectly competent, talented actor. But you are immediately asking questions that shouldn't be laid at that actor's feet. They should be able to get on with the job. I had no problems with it. I had problems with the series because I didn't think the series was terribly good. But that sort of made me ask more questions. Yeah. There was great anachronisms in that annoyed me intensely. But it immediately makes people go, it puts people on the back foot, and then you're doing a disservice to an actor who, were she to be playing a role that is typically seen as black, she would have had no problems. People wouldn't be asking the questions, and she could have got on with her job. She was dealing with a lot of shit that was thrown at her that, I don't think she needed or deserved.
Do you think the same is true for Idris Elba if he ends up being cast as James Bond? Do you think, I mean, the man is an incredible actor, very, very talented guy, goes without saying. But do you think there will be an element that if he becomes the new James Bond, that there will be that overhanging thought that he's only got it because he's a black actor? Do you think that will forever sit in that area?
I don't think he'll get it. I don't think, for me, it wouldn't be he got it just because he's a black actor, but it's just like there will be the thing about Barack Obama was the first black president. Idris Elba was the first black James Bond. So that it'll be, and now whether that's a good thing, whether that then opens the door for other black actors to come in and play James Bond, brilliant. Yeah. But there is always going to be, and I suppose it's that thing of you can't ever do anything without somebody being the first. Does James Bond need to be played by a black actor? Provided the actor's good enough, I don't really matter. It doesn't worry me about the color of his skin. Politically, and for black actors and the representation of black actors, does it need to be played by a black actor? Well, probably in a franchise that big, maybe it does, to make a political point. And then thereafter that depends on where you stand politically on the race issue and blah, blah. That's not something that I want to get into because that's not my bag. I love the James Bond franchise. Whoever plays, it's got to be a bloody good actor. And Idris Elba is a bloody good actor. He will then, if he plays it, and I think he's gone down in the betting ranks now, but if he did, he would be the first black actor to play James Bond. There's lots of firsts about things like that. That may not be a bad thing politically, and for black actors and black performers, or BAME or whatever ones. Maybe it's a good thing. I don't know, but it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because
and we are speaking obviously from very much, we are white, probably classed as middle class men.
Yeah.
So we have not experienced any of the things that these people
No.
have done, and we do
No.
not suffer at the hands of. I mean, in multiple ways, we're both straight men, so we do not have the effect of being on the LGBTQ spectrum or anything like that. So we cannot speak from experience, and we cannot. And I wouldn't ever even attempt to speak on behalf of people necessarily. I can only imagine and be supportive as possible to other cultures, other decisions, other backgrounds, etc. So I think it's an incredibly interesting and incredibly pertinent element within theatre and within the acting world, performance world. And I think it's something that is slowly getting better. I think there's a lot more equality, there's a lot more support, a lot more representation. But that doesn't mean we've hit a point where it's good enough yet. And it needs.
We can't be complacent. No, we mustn't be complacent.
No, absolutely not. And as you say, that one of the biggest tools behind that is going to be new writing and new opportunities and people coming in now, rather than focusing on what have we already got that's established. Let's put Black or gay or whatever actors and performers into these roles. Why are we not creating more, or we should be creating more brand new things?
Yeah.
And I think that is the most powerful element available right now. And
so saying, I'm going to do, and I'm not going to take the mickey out of this because I think it's very serious, but I'm just going to. I have spotted a segue because as we promised everybody, we are going out and about. You've been out and about because you had a wonderful play that you were doing.
Yes,
and of course you've been kind enough to take us backstage and talk to loads of people, and it's a very pertinent piece. So I'm gonna let you introduce it, but I spotted the segue.
Yeah, well done. You are the segue thief of today. I'll let you go on that one though.
Thank you.
Yes, so I was lucky enough to be cast in a brand new play called A Stroke of Luck, which. To give a very brief overview, is about the inclusion of West African, particularly colonies during the Second World War, and the inclusion of Black and African men in the war, and how during those times it was very much still a segregation element, like that they were there but they were not valued in the same way or treated in the same way, but also how it affected other cultures. So this particular play focuses on some colonies and some people fighting out in Burma against the Japanese, and it was an incredible piece of theatre to be involved in, and incredibly educational and very eye-opening. And I mean, I won't say much more. Basically, what I managed to do was whilst we were rehearsing and slightly before going on and after the show, I managed to chat to a few of the cast and creatives for the show. So I can hand over to myself in the past, which is really strange. But, we'll go over to Sam in Watford and meet some of the people that were involved in A Stroke of Luck.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome to Watford Pump House Theatre, a brilliant little fringe-style venue in, you've guessed it, Watford. Now, we're here tonight as, we are doing A Stroke of Luck. Yes, it's a second performance of the brand new play, A Stroke of Luck, written by the amazing Ademola Adeniji. He is a chap who I've actually worked for twice before, and the company he's affiliated with, Learning Through the Arts, who put on some really special pieces of theatre that sort of teach you about Black history and the oppression, particularly during wartime. So, for example, the show we're doing today, A Stroke of Luck, is all about World War II and the involvement of the African colonies. So my aim tonight is probably to kind of chat to as many of the cast as possible to sort of explain why we're here, why we're involved in these kind of shows, how it feels to be on a stage but talking about quite important historical issues and content that perhaps people are not truly aware of or aren't aware of enough. And of course, as well, it's going to be lovely to speak to people who won't have been able to set foot on the stage for quite some time and just find out what it means to them to be back doing it again. So I'll catch up with you in a bit, and hopefully with a few new faces and a few new voices for you guys to meet. See you in a bit. First of all, tell us who you are and the part you're playing, and how you got involved with this project, please.
So my name is Darryl Wilson. I'll be playing Isaac Fadoyebo. How I got involved in this project was essentially my sister sent me the casting. I applied for it, and I got the email back saying that I got the role.
Fantastic. So I guess this is quite an eye-opener. It's a very dialogue-heavy piece for you, and the content of the dialogue is also very, very deep. Does it have particular meaning for you? Is it a good thing to be able to reproduce some theatre that has real depth?
Yeah, definitely. This is heavy in my heart, to be fair, because it's just replaying a piece of Black history that has essentially been forgotten about. Because even when researching this role, it was funny because when I heard about this play, me myself, I didn't know that much about the actual African soldiers that went to war in Burma, but I feel like this play is needed so that I can educate people and just see how good these African soldiers that are oftentimes forgotten about. It can be a good chance for them to be remembered.
Yeah, amazing, thank you. And so we try not to dwell too much on the fact that we've all been out of work for quite a period of time, but how does it feel to be finally back on a stage after such a long period of not being able to?
It feels refreshing, very, very refreshing just to be back. The atmosphere, I love it. Get to work with fabulous people like yourself.
Thank you.
I just love the community that we have in this theatre space as well. So.
Amazing. Thank you, Darryl. Have a great show. Cheers. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us exactly what your involvement is with this piece?
Yes, my name is Louise Backer and I'm the director of A Stroke of Luck, which you can hear rehearsing behind just drilling some physical scenes.
So you've worked with Learning Through the Arts before and helped direct and produce Adamola's last piece, which was a good couple of years ago now due to circumstances that we're not going to... But how does it feel to be back in a theatre creating more important educational theatre?
Obviously, it feels amazing to be back. It's quite a delicate one. This one, it's kind of topical, sensitive. It's a joy. It's a joy, especially to be back with actors actually, because I've worked mostly with opera singers, which is a bit of a different ball game. But it's just lovely to see people ready to play, ready to kind of put themselves on the line, because doing any kind of play takes such courage from a performer. We've thankfully amassed 9 people who are just really committed, really professional, really impressive. It's just been a joy, really.
Oh, great. And on a perhaps more serious note, obviously this is, as you say, quite a sensitive piece, particularly with regards to Black history. Obviously you're coming at it from a very different direction to the majority of the cast or a lot of the audience that this will appeal to. How is it for you adjusting to that, and is it a new experience for you other than obviously Adamola's previous piece? Is this something that you haven't had a lot of exposure to?
I've done bits and bobs with kind of working to address representation in the industry generally. What's really interesting about this is because it's based on an actual individual, Isaac Fadoyebo. My aim has just been to kind of honour the truth of the story. All you can do is it's kind of documentary theatre in a way. All you can do is kind of really tell that story very truthfully and very frankly, and not shy away from kind of overt racism. It's interesting also because obviously we've got Japanese performers and Asian performers in the cast who are playing kind of. I mean, they're not Japanese performers, but it's a real kind of it's a real challenge to be diplomatic with that, and it really matters to me that we're trying to do it right, and it's a very interesting time to be making work in that respect. And all you can do is really, like I say, just try to be honest with yourself, with the material.
But despite all that and all the challenges and everything else, I think safely we can say that together we've created something incredible, and it's been a joy to work together. So thank you to you, and good luck for the rest of the run.
Thank you. Good
Cheers.
luck.
Guys, thank you so much for agreeing to speak with me. I know everyone's mega busy backstage and we lights go up not long, but really appreciate it. So start off, tell me who you're playing and who you are.
Cool. I'm playing Akio, and my name is Jake. Akio is the sort of higher ranking Japanese officer
to me. I play Yuki. My name is Brian. Hello, everybody.
So, guys, obviously, this is it's been a while since a lot of us have been able to actually take to the stage. Does it feel good being back finally after a bit of a hiatus for everyone?
Yeah, it's a lot of like ring rust as well.
It's actually performing in front of a real audience sort of thing. But also I'm very excited just because we do have like a really large cast. So being able to do that. I did like some small things with like one other person, but this is really nice to be able to sort of feel like a community sort of thing.
Yeah. And with regards to this piece, obviously it's quite educational and quite hard-hitting in its nature. Is this something that made you really want to be involved? Is that one of the reasons? Or is it just a case of it's nice to be part of something that does have that kind of historical and important element?
I think for me, when I initially wanted to apply for it, I saw the premise for it, and I knew that it was going to be a story about two African officers, and I knew that they were going to have some involvement with Asian characters, and I was really interested in being part of that because I'm really passionate about there being more like more multicultural stories within theatre and stuff like that, and like seeing this premise for the first time was like damn, I really want to be in this in any way, shape or form, even if it was just like a bit part. So yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. I was just excited just to work with a diverse cast sort of thing. But yes, I'm quite excited that this is sort of an educational piece about different groups of people that we just rarely get to see and hear about, especially in the UK. So yeah, very excited about that. And I definitely learned something from doing this because I don't know much about that at all.
No, I think it's an overwhelming feeling. A lot of people that have spoken and the majority of the cast have said even if they are black or from that kind of background, it's something new for them as well, and it's a story that perhaps hasn't been told as much as it should have been. But it's an honour. I speak personally to be out there as part of it, and I'm sure you guys feel the same. And yeah, again, thank you so much for talking to me, and enjoy the rest of the run. Cheers, guys. Thanks. Please introduce yourself. Tell me who you're playing and how you got involved in the production.
Hi, Sam. My name is Kareem. Not long to go now. A few minutes before we're on stage, but it's pretty relaxed. It's had a good run. I think one of the best things about this show is how much fun we're having. But anyway, to answer your question, I'm playing a character called Shuyaman, who's a Burmese farmer, quite removed from my day-to-day life. I got involved with the production via an application on a website called Mandy, and the director liked my work, which was very fortunate. My first professional theatre credit, so
amazing.
Very lucky to be.
And not only your first professional theatre credit, but quite an eye-opener to jump straight into as a first piece, being that it is so culture-heavy and has such a large educational and historical feel to it. So how has that been adapting from perhaps other things you've done previously?
Good question. I think it doesn't feel culturally heavy to me necessarily, because we've heard of similar stories growing up, and are aware of experiences of war, and the impact of that through more contemporary politics. But I think what's really interesting from a perspective of theatre, I was here a couple of years ago doing a play about the First World War called Journey's End. I'm sure you know it.
Yes.
And of course the stories might be similar, but it is very interesting to have that cultural perspective of stories being told from the Black African perspective or the Muslim perspective. My character is a Muslim farmer who would probably feel very upset to hear that 50, 60, 70 years later the populations of the Muslim farmers in Myanmar, as Burma is now called, I believe, might have gone through worse than they were. done in the Second World War.
Yeah. Well, so hopefully this will help to educate, and obviously that is our main purpose, but also to entertain. I wish you the best of luck for the rest of the run. Enjoy.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. So that is it. As you can probably hear the noise in the background, the show is over, and all the rest of the cast are celebrating and congratulating each other on what has been a really rewarding experience, a very touching experience, and just a really enjoyable one, an incredible show, some amazing audiences, and just a real heartfelt message that's gone out. So it's been an honour on my part to be involved in this, and hopefully you've all enjoyed listening to some of the thoughts of the cast and how it feels to be back performing and doing something that just really makes a difference. So anyway, back to Sam and Drew in the studio. See you later.
Sam, thanks for that, mate. It was great to see you working. You look great in a uniform as well. Yeah. If they ever recast Blackadder, I think you're in with a shot, mate.
well, but as who? There's some incredible characters in that.
Well, there are. And talking of incredible characters, so on a serious note, great, as I say, great to see you working. Really, really interesting stuff. And let's not, what we've been talking about, from a really strong, young, diverse cast with, there's some stuff in there that, it's a play that I didn't know anything about, the messages that were in there and what you guys were doing. I didn't know about that stuff, and it's the power of theatre to entertain and hit people with a message. It's, as you say, it was very moving, but never forget the power to is that thing is about you. If you're entertaining people, you can, people learn by being entertained. Children learn by entertaining. You can pass on knowledge and things to audiences, and certainly the historical stuff there and the references to the war that I had no idea, so you learn things. And I think it's the power of education through theatre that, theatre and education, TIE has been going for donkey's years, and I know you have strong connections. I have had in the past, not so much recently, but I know you have very strong connections to TIE, which I think, quite apart from that production being important as a for want of a better word, an adult piece of theatre, that when we turn theatre on its head and direct it to children and or to younger people, shall we say, it again then becomes a really powerful tool. Sure, you agree.
You can inspire, and you can influence, and you can educate. I think there are multiple ways of looking at it, and as you say, I do have quite strong ties to theatre and education. So a colleague of ours, Callan, good friend of mine, he runs a theatre company, and actually I was lucky enough to work with his company on 2 brand new productions at the very start of this year, designed to entertain and educate on a school level. One of which, No Big Deal, is about peer pressure, drugs and alcohol, and how easy it is to be influenced, and how it's not inevitable, but there will always be, you will always be exposed to it in some kind of way, and it's very much focused on how you deal with that and how you can talk to people and things like that. So it's a very powerful educational tool in that sense, because it is something that nearly every single child, teenager, however you want to look at it, will go through and will have some kind of exposure to. It's a piece that just, I think, is it's important to get out there. And we're actually taking it out on the road. I'm lucky to be involved with it again. So when we did the first production, we did it online and produced some video materials that could be used in schools, because we were still very much under the thumb of the unwelcome guest at the time. We couldn't go out and do school tours, but we are now bringing that next year, and we're going to be able to take it out to schools, and we will run workshops afterwards where we talk to the children, talk to the teenagers about what they've just watched, whether it's affected them, whether they have questions, whether they want to address it in different ways. So it's a very, very important, and again, theatre becomes this massively important tool in that respect, because as you say, some younger people learn and will take in things better that way. Not everyone can deal with just reading things over and over or being told over and over. If you can visualize things, if it's put into a different medium, sometimes it makes it easier to digest, more memorable, and actually make more sense to people. So I think it's really, really important that we have these outlets as well. And I'm very much looking forward to it. Not to say I'm also very nervous about it, because it's such an important topic in this respect, that it needs to be addressed, but it needs to be done in the right way. And I do believe what's been written it is very appropriate and very clever and just at the right tone. It doesn't shy away from elements, but it also doesn't kind of really throw them in your face, and kind of, it doesn't go above and beyond where it needs to. It's not shock tactics necessarily.
Not gratuitous in any way.
No, but it's still shocking enough that you kind of go, whoa, that's the point. I'm at this stage, I could be all that. Yeah. So
I mean, actually, sometimes if you present something honestly and you don't embellish it, you don't do anything good, that actually truth sometimes is more powerful than fiction. And particularly if younger people have not met that, or they don't have any experience of it, they suddenly go, whoa, and I think that's the power of what of the message that you have, I think.
So and very much looking forward to that, and lots of other exciting things to look forward to, including next week. More guests, mate. We are
more guests, absolutely.
Some very exciting people next week. People, I say as well. It is not just one person, so we're spoiling you with an extra people. So yes, we've got amazing guests coming up next week.
Holding nothing back.
No, exactly, and that's what I am looking forward to most over the next week. Because other than that, I've just got a few sort of gigs here and there, and more kind of organizational stuff. But what about you, mate? What have you got coming up?
Pumpkins.
Oh, there's a surprise.
Yes. No, I've got pumpkins. Yeah, that's the background. The white noise to my week, or the orange noise to my week, is pumpkins. I've got a self-tape to do for a documentary film. So I'm going to do that over the next 24 hours. But then after that, it's back to pumpkins and Halloween. I'm not knocking it, but the colour orange is never going to be my favourite colour, should we say.
So I guess we can leave it at that. But everyone tuning in, watching and listening, thank you so much for being here. And please do join us next week for special guests and post-pumpkin analysis, I'm sure. But, have an amazing week, mate. It's
and you, Sam. Take care, mate. Brilliant stuff.
Cheers. Take it easy.
Cheers,
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
If you have, then please consider subscribing to our channel, and you'll get notified every time a new video is released. Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app.
Please support us on other social media too. We're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and all our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so please share with your family and friends, and we'll be eternally grateful. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.